Welcome to Flatfoots and Fools, a podcast about detective games. I'm Andrew, and today I'm joined by John. How are you doing today?
In New York, it is very warm right now and allergy season. So you'll hear me cough and Peter will try to edit out any coughing, but I'll try to mute myself and catch it.
He's doing the Lord's work. But today, we're going to don our trench coats and tuck our bills into Duck Detective, the Ghost of Glamping from 2025. So, this is the second game in this series from Happy Broccoli Games. The first one was Duck Detective, the Secret Salami. It's from a quite small studio. They've done a few other types of games before the Duck Detective series. And so, John, what is this game?
So this is a sequel to the first game. This is not the first time we've done a sequel, but if I recall, this is the first time we've done a sequel so soon after it just came out, right? Like I played this, I think, before Christmas. And it came out when was it?
About a year ago. I want to say May 2025.
This is probably the newest game that we're reviewing and we're talking about.
So far, that is true.
Not the first sequel, though.
One of these days will be more current.
Nah, there's a whole bunch of things. Jumping back and forth is the fun of it.
Yeah, so we're back to playing as the titular Duck Detective. He's a noir-style gumshoe. We're in an anthropomorphized animal world. So you start out, your flatmate is an alligator, Freddie Fredersen, who you may remember from the previous game as the fanboy / terrible coworker.
And the red herring of the first game, if I recall.
Yeah, because one of his other coworkers is convinced he's the salami bandit just because he keeps using her cup.
Probably should have said that as a spoiler.
Oh, A, we've already covered it. B, that's not even like a main plot spoiler.
Fair.
It's pretty early on.
I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, we'll be okay. Start the game out in the usual depressed noir detective stupor, overdosing on bread, and your
Quack, quack.
your flatmate, Freddie, decides it's time to get you out of the house. And so the tutorial case is figuring out where he's going to take you based on the clues around your apartment.
One thing I want to point out is, especially since you said flatmate, the style of the game is you are pretty much two-dimensional sticker cutouts in a 3D environment. The simplistic artwork of it belies like how good the voice acting and everything is.
Yeah, I really do love the voices and the characters that you meet. So yeah, you get taken on a trip by your flatmate. It's the titular glamping trip. So the game overall, pretty short. I'd say 2-ish hours, depending on how fast you are at it. Some people will be able to do it quicker. Some will take longer.
You can also play as story mode or sleuth mode.
Oh yeah, I forgot about story mode.
Yeah, story mode will pretty much give you the answers, and then sleuth mode as well. The way the game is intended to be played.
Yeah, so structurally, you're moving around the world, a bit of a point-and-click adventure style investigation, and then you hit sort of deduction points that you need to use Golden Idol style fill in the blanks for. So you get to the campsite, you move around, you investigate hard points, interview characters, and gather clues. And clues show up in the form of the words that you use to fill in the blanks on the paragraphs.
If you're old enough to remember what Mad Libs is, that's what as he was talking about.
Yeah. And while it is technically one large case, it's sort of broken into little segments. And so you'll explore the first 2 campsite areas. You'll answer a couple questions about the people there. And then once those are finished and approved, it'll open up the next little zones. And so it sort of has a multi-case structure, even though it's all actually one large case. And one of the things that they carry over from the previous game that I really like is when you fill out something correctly, it pulls out an old style ka-chunk stamp. And the noise on that is very satisfying. And it says, deduction approved. And that still tickles my brain no matter what. And I think that will keep tickling my brain as we go.
I mean, this game is all about the small details.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fun facts, they're all fake fun facts about birds and other things. They're very amusing.
Oh yeah, the loading screens. There's lots of great duck facts that
are not real duck facts.
I wonder if they occasionally mix some real ones in there to mess with us.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but I don't think they do.
Yeah, 'cause all the ones I remember were fake.
Yes. Doesn't mean that we saw them all, yeah.
Yeah. So the cast of characters, there's the pigeon lady, who is running the sort of not doing well campsite, and so she's stressed. You've got an influencer, his assistant, a general trying to bond with her little son, a sort of drifter guy. You don't necessarily know that much about him yet. And all of these characters sort of bouncing off of each other, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Because early on, it's sort of like, all right, figure out who's here. And then things start to escalate with a little bit of vandalism and then all the way up into actual serious crimes.
It's wild. I mean, we're talking about the spoiler zone, but the level of importance of the crimes committed is damn near logarithmic.
Hmm.
Just the severity of it.
Yeah, it does escalate quite a lot in a pretty short period of time. So, what else should we cover before we actually dive into the fun part and the spoilers?
What are some differences from the first game and this game?
Hmm.
The kind of technical level.
I'll say the difficulty curve felt a lot cleaner on this one.
In what way?
It felt like in the first game, it sort of was like easy, 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 easy. Whoa, that was really hard. And this, it felt like before you hit that really hard point, there was some stuff that sort of ramped up a little better.
In these games, I really appreciate the artwork, even though it seems simplistic. They put a lot of detail. I'm looking at my notes, and apparently near one of the buildings is a creepy graffiti on one of the buildings that just says like no one left, and it's got like little stick figures of people. That stuck out to me. And the videos at the end of each major plot point was also really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's a difference between this one and the last one, which was a really nice addition to transition from plot point to plot point.
And again, the narration that goes with that, with the voice acting, so good.
Not bad for a bunch of stickers.
Yeah. Do we recommend this game?
Definitely if it's on sale. Like, it's a 2-hour game. It's a lot of fun. I played it on the Steam Deck and the PC, and it worked pretty well for that. Like, I played it in transit to my sister's for the holidays because I played it near Christmas. So it's a short game. I enjoyed it. I don't regret playing it. I don't regret buying it. I would tell friends like, hey, you want some logic puzzle games that is easy. If you want to play with someone who's not into the genre, this might be a good one as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great onboarding type of thing to play with a partner. Because I know I played at least one of these, maybe both, like on the couch with my wife. And it's a fun evening. So yeah, we like this one. But now it is time for the spoiler zone. You have been warned. So now we can get into actually some of these crazy characters. One of your first mysteries to figure out is, who is Freddie Frederson's girlfriend?
Yeah, one thing I like about this series is like they don't tell anyone's name until you gotta earn that thing.
Mhm.
People don't just show up with name tags on. You gotta get to know them. You gotta figure them out. You gotta be super creepy.
Oh yeah, stalk through all of their campsite, look through their personal effects. And all of this is taking place under the shadow of the spooky sanatorium, which is kind of like the big haunted house on the hill. So you've got this weird vibe of both supernatural creepy stuff and then the character drama. And so yeah, in terms of the crimes that happen, it starts out with just getting to meet people. You sort of figure out who people are. And then we start with some vandalism. Somebody's gone through the influencer's tent and sort of wrecked his house a bit.
I think there's like 4 or 5 tents, something like that.
Yeah.
There's not that many characters.
What about half a dozen? You go to the tent, you've got to figure out what was stolen, and you can start to figure out who did it. And you can already start to see weird relations going on. For example, the influencer is in some kind of romantic relationship with the general.
He's a chess influencer, by the way.
Ah, that's what it was. Chess influencer. I'd forgotten what it was.
And I realized he's a chess influencer. I was like, my notes say, okay, he gets a pass on being super pompous.
Mhm.
Although on my YouTube feed, there's a lot of chess YouTubers now, and they're super sweet individuals. I don't know why. A couple months ago, I thought, chess. All right, he could be pompous because he's better than me. All right.
I mean, that probably comes from some of the old 60s, 70s chess masters.
Mm.
Like there was that one American one, apparently, who was like one of the world's biggest dicks.
Bobby Fischer?
Might have been him. I can't remember.
Yeah. Bobby Fischer was,
Fortunately, Arnold is not that level of bad.
nah. He's just an influencer trying to glam up for the cam.
Mhm. And then one thing I do like is all of the characters, you meet them, you get an initial impression, but then all of them seems to have some kind of thing going on under the surface, which could make them a suspect in the variety of crimes going on. So someone is watching the general trying to steal military secrets. There's some weird ritual stuff going on the side. There was the vandalism that then escalates into what appears to be kidnapping, espionage.
It becomes a spy movie toward the end in that last hurrah. That was
Mhm.
wild. That's what I meant when I said earlier, the issues are logarithmic. You start with like some vandalism all the way to national secrets being blackmailed. Wild.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then the 2 independent things happening that appear related. So you've got, like, the general is trying to connect with her son, who she's obviously, like, a military athletic figure, and the son is a Pokemon nerd.
What did they call it in the game? I don't even remember.
Oh, shoot, the name of it is slipping. I should remember that. I know they were looking for magic corn out in the lake.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, for Magic Carp.
Mhm. And so the drifter guy turns out to be the dad, and the little ritual they were doing was just for him to get up the courage to actually try and talk to his son. And then you think that the child is kidnapped, but it turns out it's just the dad and him, like, in the little boat on the lake out looking for Magicorn. So that at least wraps up wholesomely.
I just remember playing it thinking like that's such a military thing to have a fling and like raise your kid. And usually it's the mother coming back into the life later or something like that. That was pretty funny. Yeah, so they come from a military family. It's interesting that they met when she was a colonel, like in the pictures that, and then she got promoted, which when I laughed in my notes that it is plausible to get promoted like that. Life gets in the way, and one of them gets out of the military. That was interesting enough.
Yeah, and, like, you go on the initially go on a tour, you get to see the haunted sanitarium, the tour guide's telling you sort of like haunted house ghost stories, and then stuff starts to get weird because it seems like there's somebody in the haunted house.
Another thing I wanted to mention too is I did not expect to have a philosophical discussion of what we do with sick people in part of this lighthearted game. Like, I know what a sanatorium is, but it's not something that I think about. Like, I just think of it as a type of hospital, but
Mhm.
and then they start talking about like what do we do when somebody's ill? And I had to double check if animals can get tuberculosis because that's what happened in the games to some of these animals. And yes, yes, they can. Depends on the animal, of course.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that part.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since we played, so I'm checking my notes, and my one of the lines says, "Lol, TB. I need to check if animals can get TB." Yes, yes, they can. It's not something I expected in this lighthearted game. And the talk about death and what do we do with sick people?
Yeah, I watched an interview with some of the devs, and one of the things they mentioned is despite the appearances, these games do dive into serious topics and sort of are like they're not for little kids in that way, despite the artwork. I mean, little kids aren't going to understand the East-West Germany comparison, which, like, I think you're in East Germany, maybe? I'm not totally sure. I mean, that part's difficult to tell, but yeah, you're
Yeah.
in like, East Canton, West Canton, because it turns out the general works for the military and someone's trying to get her to cough up military secrets.
For a
Uh,
new base, I think he said. I forget where the base was,
mhm. And it turns out it's the assistant, Katya.
which is Fred's girlfriend.
Yes, in what turns out to be just supremely bad luck for him.
Yeah, she claims to have liked him, and it felt sincere enough.
Yeah, and from an espionage perspective, he's a zero value target
Yeah.
because, like, he's basically like a clerk and he rooms with the world's most dysfunctional detective. Like, not exactly a prime target.
Yeah, I mean, especially like if she knows he's rooming with a detective, she wouldn't let him show up because it's like a Scooby Doo mystery. Like you meddling kids, like you wouldn't invite somebody to run the risk of screwing you over unless he felt a certain way. Because I don't think Fred had any value to her plan.
Nope. She had 2 methods of getting the information and was perfectly capable of doing them both by herself. Figuring her out was sort of like the hardest deduction, sort of at the end. So you get into the sanitarium. It becomes very clear that somebody there is using like electronic equipment to monitor the general and spy on her. And you're trying to figure out, okay, who did this? The big tip off is there's a statue that someone bumped into on the way in, and it's got a specific color of makeup on it. And you get to match that with the color of Katya, as well as the fact that she had like a sore arm.
The injuries were the same as the imprint of the statue.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get crazy stuck on that one this time. 'Cause sometimes I can miss little bits like that, and that's just all bad.
From a gameplay standpoint, a game designer standpoint, this game doesn't have fast travel, so there's a lot of walking back and forth. How do you feel about games like that?
I would say this one is still fine because I don't know what to call it, like hub and spoke structure,
Mhm.
while you are going back and forth, the time between any 2 possible points is never more than, like, 30 seconds or something.
Fair.
I feel like the amount of, I don't know, dead time there is never that long, and so that works for me. And
This
usually you know where you're going as well. I just played a game that required me to do a ton of backtracking around, and it felt bad because you didn't really always know where you were going. It would be something like you discover a clue in it, you'd have to ask everyone about it. And it was like, I don't know which of these people is gonna have the useful piece of information. And so that backtracking didn't feel good, whereas here, it never bothered me.
I remember when I playing this game, I was thinking, pity there's no fast travel, so going back and forth. But it's something I'd said when we played one of the Hukiro Pro games. You need a little bit of time to just look around. And in this specific game, you're not taking a lot of time between point A to point B. Disco Elysium, for example, had limited fast travel. You can do hub and spoke. You can fast travel to specific parts of the map, and then you'd have to walk from there. But the lack of fast travel works for this game, I feel.
Yeah, I don't think it was big enough that it would have added anything meaningful. Because by the time you could open the map, select the room to go to, get teleported to the room, and then move to the location, it's only gonna be like 5 seconds shorter than just walking.
And these games are pretty much about the journey.
Mhm. And you might remember more things along the way. It was interesting 'cause you can almost sort of draw a line between a pure point and click, say, Dark Side Detective
Mm.
and the Case of the Golden Idol, and you've got, like, this spectrum along the line of games that sort of sit on there. So, for example, you've got Golden Idol, pretty much pure on the deduction side. Then you take a step towards point and click adventure, you get something like this, Duck Detective. You move around the world some, you do a tiny bit of rubbing objects on each other or on people to inquire about them, but that's not, like, the key blockage in the game. The main blocking like, it's not hard to get the clues, and the main blocker is your ability to interpret the clues. Then you take, like, another step down that road. There's a couple of games just came out recently. Who Summoned It was my favorite of them. And there, like, you're doing more sort of going back and forth between people. It's a little bit harder to get the clues, but at the end of the day, you're still working towards, like, a golden idol fill in the blank. Then you take another step down the road, you get something more like Detective Grimoire, where that one's getting very point and clicky, and then the amount of deduction barriers you're dealing with is becoming less of a percentage of the game. And then eventually you get all the way down the road to your dark side detective. And I sort of thought it was interesting that we've got multiple steps along the way with sort of different ratios of what's in the game.
Like a sliding scale,
Exactly. And these ones end up more on the deduction-y side relative to a bunch of the others.
which I realize I enjoy that more. Like just like the puzzle solving, the deductions, even the fill in the blanks ones.
Yeah, and these are really solid little games. Are we ready to exit the spoiler zone?
No, I want to talk about the ending.
Yeah, then let's dive into the ending. Like the previous game, at the end, you sort of lay out who did what, and you get to decide who you recommend to get arrested. And so we have a couple of crimes happened here. So we've got the espionage by Katya.
Mhm.
Then we've got the general
Matilda,
who gave up military secrets to try and get favors from her favorite chess influencer.
Arnold.
And then who was the third?
That's Arnold. Arnold's the third one. He's the rabbit chess influencer.
Right. I'm just trying to remember, like, what crime could you accuse him of?
Blackmail.
Ah, that's what it
He's the
was.
one accused of blackmailing Matilda.
Yeah. So you've got those 3 and you get to decide, who do you recommend for arrest? And it's also funny, once you make your decisions and you submit it, it tells you what the averages were for the community.
Well, I took a screenshot of it. That's how I know their names.
Nice. Do you also have the averages for the community?
I have the averages of when I played it in December.
I'm gonna assume it'll probably still be about the same.
Yes, because I've seen screenshots from other people, and do you want to tell who you arrested, and then I'll tell you the numbers?
Yeah. So I decided to arrest all of them this time.
Ooh, really?
I was mean. I mean, the blackmail, yeah, I'm gonna arrest him for that. Espionage, yeah, getting arrested. And then selling military secrets, we can't have that. You get arrested.
I mean, yeah. I let Arnold go because he was a patsy. Because it was Katya that was doing the blackmailing. He's just a patsy. And I believe that he did not understand what was going on, though. So, how it broke down for the numbers I'm looking at is Katya for espionage, 96% of players arrested her, myself included. Matilda, 74% of players decided to arrest her. I also arrested her. I mean, she's a brigadier general. She knows better. You know how many classes in the military you sit around and be like, yo, shut your mouth, loose lips sink ships. But I watched the YouTube video in preparation for today where somebody let her go. And like it says, oh, I don't want Toby to grow up without a mother. So apparently that's the line what happens if you let her go.
Oh.
I was like, nah, man, you're a general. You know better.
Yeah, plus he just discovered his dad, so, I mean, it's just a parent swap.
Fair.
I'm sure it'll have no psychological damage of any kind.
But I was surprised so many people want to arrest Matilda as well. Like, I know why I wanted to arrest her because, again, as I said, I was unhappy that she had to be arrested. She loves her son, but she's a general. Shut your mouth, lady. She should know better.
That one, it felt less clear-cut for sure than, like, Katya, who, just straight up a spy. And I know it's gonna make Fredersen sad, but
I mean, they tried to pull on people's heartstrings. They tried to make him more like trolley problem moral quandary, but as we both agree, Katya, you're a spy. You go in jail. Matilda, you're a general. You should know better. So those two, I feel like I don't disagree with the majority. Arnold, I also let him go because I thought he was just an idiot. And Katya's already being arrested. So you can easily have her responsible for Arnold's dumbassery.
that's fair enough. What was the stats on Arnold getting arrested?
22%
Okay,
at the time I played it.
that's reasonable. I don't know why I was under the impression he had at least a decent idea of what was going on, but I could have been mistaken about that.
He's a chess influencer. Maybe he is the mastermind and he was 2 steps ahead of everybody. Possible.
Oh, man. Definitely possible.
Oh, shit. Maybe he's working with Kaja. Maybe he was the control officer for Kaja. Wheels within wheels.
Now I'm thinking like, ooh, do I need to investigate this possibility?
I mean, there's going to be a third game.
Yeah, it might be a little bit. So I watched an interview with the developers. They were at a student conference for game dev or something like that. And they were asked if they were going to make another Duck Detective game specifically. And they said probably yes, but their initial plan was to take a break from Duck Detective and do a different game in the meantime. But again, the studio has done a few small games. So for them, taking a break might be, I don't know, a year. And so we wouldn't get a game this year. Maybe we would get another Duck Detective game, I don't know, 2027 maybe.
Do you remember the ending?
Yes.
Do you remember the post-credit scene?
Yes. Fucking Eugene apparently hasn't paid taxes in years and gets arrested.
They don't say why he's arrested.
I swear it was about not paying taxes.
No, because I'm literally watching it. I will shout out to the YouTube channel Adventure Vault.
Oh.
He just says, you're under arrest. And that's it. He goes like, I want to speak to my lawyer. And it just fades to black and says, the end. Why do you think it's taxes? I mean, plausible, but still.
I thought that he said at one point, like, oh, I guess those tax letters weren't optional.
Oh, maybe. But that would have been much earlier in the game. But like, yeah, they don't tell him the charges.
Well, maybe that'll be what you have to investigate on the next one is why you got arrested.
That's my point of being like, wait, what do you mean that they're going to take a break? Usually when you cliffhanger, I want to know, man.
Yeah, I mean, this was just what they said at that conference. That was from, I want to say, September or something.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's a long-term leave. I think it was just a breather.
They pulled an Empire Strikes Back.
This second game came out very fast in relative terms. It was about a year from Secret Salami to Ghost of Glamping. So again, if they take a year off, that's still 2 years to the next one, which is, again, really fast in game terms.
Yeah, but I want my sequel and I want it now.
I mean, of course we all want it now. That's very normal.
That was a reference to the American commercials, J.G. Wentworth.
Oh, God, it's been so long since I've seen that. Total side tangent, but commercials here are a lot different. So whenever I watch American media with a VPN, I'm like, oh God, I forgot what commercials were like.
Yeah, same. But J.G. Wentworth lives rent-free in my head. That's the commercial that says, like, I want my money and I want it now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spare the listeners singing the jingle.
Probably a good idea. All right. Anything else you want to hit on with Duck Detective?
one of the Duck Detective's like final lines to Freddy, a subversion of the classic line. He says like, "Don't be sad that it happened." He subverts it by saying, "Be sad that it happened at all." Oh, that tickled me so much. And the saxophone in the parlor scene, oh, the sax music is great in this game.
Yeah, they really know how to pull those noir strings.
And then change it to a spy movie.
Yeah. So, as you can tell, we enjoyed our time with this game.
Yeah, I don't regret it. I had a good time.
Yeah. So, what else have you been playing lately?
Getting my life back in order, taking care of some medical stuff, like finding out that I'm super allergic to like every tree. But video game wise, playing Helldivers as usual. Detective game wise, Tangled Tower. I played a little of the Framed series on my Steam Deck when I was traveling. I'm pretty surprised at how much I enjoyed that one.
Oh, those are great on the Steam Deck.
Yeah. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. I've been playing that when I donate blood. And I'm just sitting there in the chair.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
And Tangled Tower is the Detective Grimoire 2. That's right. A little bit of the Beekeeper's Picnic.
Looking forward to covering that one.
I need to finish that one.
Yeah, I'd started on Moses and Plato, but I kind of stalled out on it, which sort of detective.
Is that the cat one I saw you play?
It's a cat one because there's been more than one. Like Moses and Plato are a fox and a palace cat, and you're on a train and an ambassador gets murdered and you've got to investigate it as you're one of the chief suspects. They still let you investigate it for some reason. I didn't get super far yet. I need to get back into it. I did actually finish a couple others though. Who Summoned It, as I mentioned recently, which is like sort of like a fantasy point and click / fill in the blanks hybrid. Quite good. I really enjoyed it. It starts out easy, where you're sort of in the same style as Duck Detective, these little mini figuring out each person. And then it starts to escalate when you get into plots that involve multiple people and what seems like a jumble of random events all intertwine in a very satisfying way. So that was really good. And then the other cat one I just finished was Feline Forensics and the Meowseum of Mystery. And it was all right. It had a very similar structure to Who Summoned It, being, again, like a hybrid point and click with the fill in the blanks. I didn't enjoy it as much. There was some bugs. Those will probably be fixed. And there was a bit of a balancing issue. The fill in the blanks were too ambiguous. There was one block. I found 12 different ways to fill it out, all of which were incorrect, but they were grammatically correct and narratively reasonable. Like, you could say, oh yeah, this describes the story as it happened. So that was a bit of a mess. I have a sneaking suspicion some of that's going to get changed over time.
As you said, it's still in alpha?
It's released, but the developer is patching stuff.
Another game I tried to play was The Operator. I played like more than an hour, and then I was like, nope, too real. This goes in the pile of stuff I don't really want to deal with right now in my life.
Yeah, that's very fair, in the Orwell pile.
Yeah, Orwell, Ignorance is Strength is another one, like too government-y. Like, you know what? I don't need that right now. It's gonna go back to Duck Detective, some 2D animation.
Yeah, so that's what we've been up to. You can also follow the podcast on Blue Sky at Flatfoots and Fools, one word. And you can join our Discord to talk about any detective games. We'll have a link in the show notes.
Feel free to nudge us in certain games if you want to hear us play, just because like analysis paralysis of looking at the never-ending stack of games. You know, suggestions are welcome.
Yeah. Podcast is edited by Peter Crevier. Podcast art is by Lorena Gross. And music is by Antonic Music. Don't overdose on bread, everyone.
Keep on searching.